Welcome to Energy Matters. I'm Vicky Delajoyo. I've been doing these Matters interviews for several years now because energy is so important, especially today, especially in these crazy times. And I also think that there's so many different energy matters to talk about. What are the things that we can talk about? So it makes me particularly proud and excited to bring in my dear friend, colleague, Chi brother, Solala Towler today to talk about his wisdom and his experience with how he works with energy. Solala is the author of Tales from the Tao, He's also the author of The Tao of Intimacy and Ecstasy, and there's many other books as well, including Practicing the Tao Te Ching, 81 Steps on the Way, where he's also taught classes from that, which I've had the privilege of attending, brilliant interpretations of the Tao Te Ching. And he was the editor of The Empty Vessel, the Journal of Taoist Philosophy and Practice, for 25 years. He teaches Qigong, Taoist, sacred Taoist tea ceremonies, and does done sound healing at conferences and workshops around the country. He also leads tours to Taiwan to study Qigong meditation and tea ceremony. Solala was one of the founding board members of the National Qigong Association, and he was also the past president of that organization. And he has a soon to be published book, Returning to the Source, Taoist Meditations for Rediscovering the Sacred in Everyday Life. So, Solala, welcome. Thank you so much for making some time to talk with us
Sure.
today.
Great. Any chance I get to hang out with you is always a good thing on my list.
I feel the same way. So I'd love to, I love that you've written this book. This is this new book, and I know this book is different from some of the others. You've written so many things about Taoism and philosophy and practicing and Tao Te Ching, all these different things. This particular book is different. What prompted you? First of all, let's talk about what makes this book different.
Yes, other than the first couple of introductory chapters, it's 32 guided meditations. So it's a book to use, not just to sit and read, but actually to use it in your life and in your practice.
Mhm.
And they're meditations I've been leading classes on for many years. So I've tested them out with people, and learned how to make them even better and things like that. So it's very exciting for me to get this one out.
So tell me, what made you, what was the motivation to want to put these meditations into a book? What made you decide that this was the time to do this?
Well, I think it's because I've been leading these meditations for years and people enjoy them so much. And I've led them over many for the last 7 years. And so it seemed like it would be great to people who weren't in my class that they could also access this wisdom of the things that I have learned from my great teachers that I get to pass on.
So you said you've got how many meditations? 31 meditations in the book? Is it
There's 32.
32 meditations in the book?
Yeah.
What are some examples of, like, I mean, because when we hear meditation, a lot of times people think, oh, I'm just going to try to take, remove all my thoughts or whatever.
Oh,
There's different approaches, as you
yes.
are very well versed in, of what it means to meditate. So tell me a little bit more about the content
Yeah,
of what these
that's good.
meditations hold.
Yeah, I think anyone who has any experience with Qigong, we know when in Qigong, and especially Qigong comes from Taoism, which is at least 5,000 years old, and we don't just sit and still our thoughts. There's all kinds of things we get to do. So we got things here about connecting to the Great Mother, organ balancing, six healing sounds. We get to use a lot of imagery and ideas and colors and like connecting to the Great Mother through an energetic umbilical cord. What's more fun than that? Those kinds of things. So people don't realize that in Taoism, when they think of meditation, they're thinking sort of in a Buddhist way, where we're just sitting still. But there's actually, in Taoism, we use sitting meditation, standing meditation, moving meditation, lying down meditation. So it's all in there. All those kinds of practices are in the
You
book.
said that there's all these different types of meditation. When you and you're covering all of these in the book, right? So that you have all
Hmm.
different types of meditation that people can practice.
Hmm.
People who maybe don't necessarily want to read it, I think you have an audio version coming out as well.
Yes, yes. The book itself will be out on Amazon and bookstores and everything, and the audio on June 2nd, which is
Okay.
coming right up, a couple weeks.
And so why an audio meditation
Well,
book?
it was actually I don't know. A lot of people love audiobooks these days. You know, they're driving or doing something, and people say I have a good voice for it, and it's fun, although it was totally exhausting to do in the recording studio. But I'm excited about people getting to connect that way because energy matters. You know, I think when you listen to someone teaching, even just the sound on an audiobook, there is an energetic connection that you can have. And that's what makes Taoism so unique is that everything, all of our practice is around energy, around qi. Qi is an aspect of everything we do. Even tea ceremony is a qigong practice, right? Sitting still is a sitting, what we call sitting and forgetting. It's kind of a qigong practice. That's what makes it different than Zen or Buddhism or other forms of meditation.
Could you say a little bit more about that?
Um, well, to the Taoists, everything that is alive has qi, and everything alive meaning plants, animals, humans, mountains, rivers, oceans, planets, sun, moon, stars. It's all qi. Everything in the universe is made of qi. And when we do our qigong practices, whether it's moving meditation, standing meditation, we are connecting up to that big qi source in the sky, in the earth, the living, breathing earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, and then moving that around in our own body. And, you know, it's just, as you know, and as a lot of people watching this know, it's just such a fun, exciting practice, any kind of Qigong. You know, my teacher, Hua Ching Ni, says when you meditate, be sure you sit with a feeling of joy.
Mm.
It's not, now I'm going to do my serious practice. It's like, this is joy. This is a way to celebrate and share our inner joy with the world around us and also pick up on the joy around us to bring into us.
So
It's a
it's a way to
two-way
access,
traffic.
right? It's a way to access our interdependence, how we are connected.
Yes,
This
exactly.
mystery that we call chi.
Yeah.
So how did you get into all of this, Solala? What prompted you to get into
Yeah. It was a
qigong?
while ago. It was around 36 years ago. And I got into Qigong way a lot of people do for health reasons. I had something called chronic fatigue syndrome for 10 years until I was totally bedridden. And Chinese herbs got me out of bed, and then Qigong is what cured me.
Mm.
And then I wanted to understand, so what's the principles, the philosophies behind Chinese medicine and Qigong? And then fortunately, I found a teacher where I lived in Portland, Oregon, a Tai Chi teacher, a Chinese guy who was a Taoist, which is very rare actually in the US. Many, if not most people who practice Qigong and Tai Chi, or even teachers, don't know a lot about the Taoist roots or even the shamanic roots of a lot of what we do.
Mhm.
It goes way, way back.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, wow, this is so great. And then a teacher came from Beijing to Portland, and I took her class, the Soaring Crane Qigong, and it was like, yeah. And I went off on this grand adventure, which I'm still on.
And you're not only on this adventure, but you've brought many, many people along with you, which is just so generous. I know that you've got these different meditations and they cover a lot of different types of ground. And I know that there in some one of your books you have written stories like Tales from the Tao.
Yeah,
And some of them are you've created, and some of them have been
my
passed.
version.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Are these meditations something that you learned from your teachers? Are they something that has basically come through you? Or where are these,
Um,
where do these come from and in the
yeah,
community?
that's a good question. I think some of them from my teachers, some of them from my studies, and some of them are coming, what you say, come through me. So
Yeah,
really three different sources.
yeah. So
Because
is
it's
it
such, the
but
world of Taoism, the world which is where Qigong comes from, is a vast, vast world. And, you know, the more I study it, the deeper I go, the more I realize just how vast it is. And, you know, I feel so grateful that I've had many great teachers in China and US, and still people I'm studying with,
yeah,
that I'm happy to pass it on, as we say, right? Pass it on.
yeah. And when something comes through you, I'm kind of curious about that, where you're actually
Mm.
letting. I remember doing one meditation once in your Tao Te Ching class that was
Hmm.
about going into the river and
Oh
moving
yeah, the
forward,
watercourse way.
watercourse way.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
that was that, and that's based on the watercourse way, which is of course an old Taoist concept,
yeah,
but it also
yeah.
felt very personal how you led that and how you expressed that. So tell me a little
Yes.
bit about how those meditations that you are adapting or allowing to come through you, how
Hmm.
that happens, what happens for you internally and externally.
Yes. Well, we have all these principles: way, watercourse way, going slowly, being flexible, being natural. And I just thought of a way that people could kind of feel it in their energy field and perhaps even in their body. To say, well, go with the flow. It's like, here's a practice. We're lying on the ground, on the living, breathing earth, next to the water. We're listening to the sounds of the water dancing by us. We roll into the water, and the water is carrying us down a creek, a stream, a river, out down to the ocean, a source, Tao. And so people get a feeling of it. I think is really great, so that it makes it not just a thing they're doing in their mind.
It's not just a concept, it's an actual experiential practice.
Yeah, and that's what they all are that in this book. All these meditations are like that. How do you actually feel an energetic cord from your lower dantian, from your navel, out into the universe, into the Great Mother? Right? Lao Tzu calls Tao the Great Mother, the Primal Mother. And when we were in our mom's belly, all our nutrition, we were breathing everything through the umbilical cord. And then we came out into the world, and it's like such a different world out here. And some of us had good mothers, some not so good mothers, some didn't have any mothers. But in all Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, this all this idea of the mother of, you have this beautiful statue behind you of Guan Yin, who's the bodhisattva of mercy and compassion. So that's what this meditation is. How can we really feel that in an energetic way? And how can we release anything that we don't want anymore or need anymore in our psyche, in our body, in our emotions, and just release that into the mother? And then the second part of it is experiencing ourselves as a mother, at giving birth to a new self,
Mhm.
male or female. We all have that within us. So there's things like that are really fun to do. I try to make them all fun.
They're fun and they also go deep, right? Because they're also
Yeah.
allowing people to feel something that they may not feel. It's difficult to feel connected to all that is in our everyday life, right? Or,
Yes.
you know, and I think these days seem to be times that are filled with various reasons for fear, for anxiety, for divisiveness, or for conflict.
Yes.
So this feels like it's coming out at a particularly important time for a kind of healing
Hmm.
that people can do for themselves. Would you call these meditations healing
Oh
meditations?
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So what are some of the other what's some of the other things that you would talk
Yeah.
with
Let's
these?
see. Let me grab a copy here. And the first one I look at is the Great Mother Meditation. Full Moon Meditation, Planetary Expansion Meditation, where we feel our sense of self expanding uh, little by little by little until we're vast as the galaxy, as the universe, and then coming back down again. In a
Mhm.
way to feel, um, Lao Tzu in the Tao Te Ching says, if we didn't have such a limited sense of self, we wouldn't have so many problems. And we feel like we're just this flesh body, and we are always so much more than that.
Yeah.
Our chi field, our heart radiant field, everything goes out further and further, and we are all connected to Source or Tao.
Yeah. I always think of it as, even more than being narrative beings with our personal stories and stuff, we're energetic beings. And this is what is that
Yeah.
part where then that's that we are all one consciousness
Mm-hmm.
that the really help put things in perspective, particularly during trying times.
Yeah.
So
Lao Tzu wrote Tao Te Ching at a similar time to where we are now. The politically, socially, things were all society was falling apart. And that's
Mhm.
when he decided to leave and go out into the wilderness. And this guy talked him into writing the Tao Te Ching. So and it's so simple that we can read it and go, "Whoa, this was written in a time we're in now. This is good advice." And there are a lot of practices in the Tao Te Ching itself that we can use because we all need it. We all need this support. We all need to believe in something grand and good that's coming to us and that we are a part of, as you were just saying.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think that I love the kind of idea that, and it just feels very Taoist in my mind of that there's like a lot of different approaches and a lot of different, you've got 32 meditations, there's all these different ways to connect with this energy source. And at the same time, it's simple, right? So that there's simplicity
Mm-hmm.
and it's also multi layers of
Oh
complexity.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that it kind of encompasses both, and the meditations are ways to actually enter into that world and
Yes,
consciousness.
yes, yes.
Now, I know
Beautifully said.
I know you've got, thank you. I know you've got students and people that you've worked with,
Hmm.
a lot of people. You've been in this world for a long time. Um, do you have anybody who stands out who's had some kind of shift or
Mm.
um, awakening through the meditations that you've led them through over these last 7 years?
Oh, yes, I have. I started a class on practicing the Tao Te Ching 7 years. I've been doing it every week with a week off here and there, but for 7 weeks, and there's still people from the original class. And now I'm getting much more into the esoteric, mystical aspects in different translations and things. So to me, if they're sticking with me for 7 years, that I love that. I so appreciate that. And then other people come in and out, and it's really wonderful. And I work with the Insight Timer with people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put a name down here. What I thought you were going to ask me as someone who I've learned from. Oh, wait, I got to change one letter here. And this is my root. I have many teachers, have had many teachers, but my what I call my root teacher is this guy Hua Ching Ni. I put in the chat, and I
I
have
will be
probably.
in the chat, but I will be putting it into the
Oh,
show
okay.
later.
And he's
Yeah.
104 now. I haven't seen him in quite a while. He's pretty much retired. But I have probably 40 of his books. Because whenever he would give talks, they would record it and transcribe it. And so that's how he has so many. And the things that I love about him is that he's very wise and sagely, but he's very down to earth. Things like if you're going to meditate, be sure you do it with a sense of joy. He says, if you don't enjoy your practice, don't do it. Things like that. And about being spiritually and emotionally independent. Very
Mm.
important. Don't be leaning on other people for your emotional life or even your energetic life. Learn how to stand on your own 2 feet
So
energetically.
this is a very empowering type of message, right? If you're
Yeah, yeah.
well, you're taking agency in what you think and feel.
Here, I'm going to put one other name for people who want to really get deep and get into a little more of the esoteric things. It's a guy I've been studying, just been studying his books. Fairly young guy from Ukraine named Vitaly Filbert, which sounds like a made up name. But he has something like 33 books out. I have a dozen of them. And he's doing amazing translations of a lot of these meditation, Qigong, inner alchemy texts. And I've studied this stuff long enough to be able to tell, yes, this guy's for real. This guy is really going deep. So he's someone else. He has his books on Amazon you can find very easily.
So
Um,
let's talk a little bit
yeah.
about what inner alchemy is. So you kind of
Yeah.
referenced
It,
it a little bit, but talk us a little bit about what is inner alchemy.
yeah. Inner alchemy, Neidan. In the Middle Ages, just like in Europe, people in China were doing what we call Weidan, which is outer alchemy, trying to create sometimes gold, which interestingly enough, was not to make money, but it was to make cups and bowls of gold that you could drink that would help you live a long time. They were also trying to create called a pill of immortality that you could eat and then live forever. And a lot of emperors were hiring these Taoist people to do this, but they were using a lot of very like mercury and toxic materials, and a number of emperors actually died from this eating these pills of immortality, and they finally decided, what, maybe we should go a different direction. And instead of taking all these ingredients and putting them in a cauldron for 49 days, and let's use the energy that we have in our body, an energy we can access from nature, and create not a pill of immortality, but create a new way of being in our body, in our energy field, that we could live a long time in a very healthy way. So we have these energy fields, right? The elixir fields, and the lower elixir field, the Dantian means field of energy. And you'll see old woodcuts of there's like a cauldron inside the lower Dantian.
And the lower dantian is, for people who are not familiar.
In our lower abdomen. There are three big energy centers: lower dantian and a lower abdomen, middle dantian, heart center, upper dantian, third eye center. And so we're putting all the ingredients of things we're gathering from our Qigong practice and some of the herbs and things we're eating, and then all our intentions, and cooking something up inside. And then we have all, the small heavenly orbit going up the back, down the front, going up the central channel, all these kinds of things. It's a way to live a long and healthy life. What the Chinese call living a life of ever spring.
Mm.
So we stay young. Staying young, Qigong is another big part of it, right? I mean, that's what drew me to you when I first met you, because I didn't remember your last name when we first met, and I called you Vicky Joy. I thought Joya was Joy, so I actually called you Vicky Joy Joy. And so I always, I connected with you right away because you also teach. Not all Qigong teachers are like this. You teach with a great feeling of joy and happiness, and let's have fun with this. Some people are like, okay, we're doing our Qigong, very kind of somber almost, which doesn't feel right to me. But this everybody
Different
has their own
strokes,
way,
right? Different
different
strokes.
strokes for different folks. So now we do these neidan, and there's all this beautiful poetry because they use this like mystical language, which is why it's important to have good translations. Because they were using mystical language, and also some of the practices are really deep and powerful and not right for a beginner person. So they would use all this mystical symbols and metaphors and everything, so that you need the help of someone who knows how to translate this stuff.
Mhm.
And then you can be taken step by step. Um,
This is
yeah.
this is this is why the work you do is such a gift, because you create a type of bridge, and I see you do it
Mm.
again and again in a myriad of ways, from your teaching, writing, to your artwork, to your music, even.
Yeah.
That's, bring this joy through all the time. So how can people get a hold of your book? And I also know that
Yes.
you have an audio book that's going to be coming out as well,
Yes.
for people who don't want to read the meditation but want to hear
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I teach for the last year and a half. I've been teaching a class on open heart qigong, which is what I'm writing a book on, and it's all about heart work,
Mhm.
spirit, shen, heart. How can we use all these practices so that we can live in a more open-hearted, heartful, way to be in the world? So that's something I'm working on now. But I have classes on open heart qigong, practicing a mystical Tao Te Ching, and workshops and things. So in the chat there is a link where you can order my book, and also my email address. And I
Okay, so
could put,
people can get their book by connecting with you directly,
yes,
your email, and also through a link that people can just buy it directly from you there too.
yes, and I put my website, which you can see all my classes and trips to Taiwan. All that's on the website
And then the audiobook is coming out,
on June 2nd.
also on June 2nd.
Yep.
And so either one, you can
Yeah.
either
No.
read or listen or both.
Yeah, and
Um,
you can, and I'll have copies, so
all right,
I'll
good.
be
So
able to
people
share
can
that.
connect with you directly to be sure to get their copy.
Yeah, it's
Well, do you
it's
have any?
like this book is kind of like one of my children, right? You have children, and then you work with them and you raise them, and then you send them out into the world, and hopefully they're like good people. Um,
I
so
know
it's
that.
kind of exciting. I have given birth to this book.
Yes, and that, along with many other children books that you've birthed,
uh,
which I'm very grateful for. So, do you have
yeah.
any final words that you want people to know before we close?
No, I think people have questions, want to look on my site or anything, and I'm looking forward to taking a group to Taiwan in October, and
Oh,
especially
good.
people who have been to China or China's a big, crazy place right now, and Taiwan is very small. It's easy to get around. People are very friendly, and it has all the good parts about China. And some of them, it's a democratically run country and everything. And I have very good connections there with tea masters and temples, and we hike in the mountains, all kinds of good stuff.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Okay,
Yes.
so for people who want to know more about that, they can go to the links that I'm going to be providing in the show notes. And thank you so much, Solala. I
Oh,
really
thank you.
appreciate you talking with us today. Thank you all for listening to Energy Matters, and I look forward to staying connected. So till next time, be well and let the chi flow. Bye bye.
Amen.